One Celtic fans view this evening is the night after the day before. Celtic are currently still second in the Champions League as we see the results that have came in. Obviously Leverkusen have won tonight, but they only won by 4 goals. So Celtic are still second in the Champions League. I'm going to keep an eye on the Arsenal Atalanta game. I'm going to keep an eye on that tonight because that's a tidy little stadium. Atalanta Stadium. It reminds me of the Malmo Stadium. It's just a single tier stadium all the way around, but it's got a fantastic bit for. Yeah, it does. It reminds me a bit like the Malmo Stadium. Tidy little stadium they've got. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 formation. Wow, that's interesting. 3-4-2-1 formation Atalanta are playing. So they're playing with 3 at the back. That'll be interesting when Celtic go to Italy. Quite a reasonable size away fans, so I don't know how many tickets the away fans have got for it, but it looks a tidy little stadium. It does look a tidy little stadium. We're going to keep an eye on that because we're also going to keep an eye on if any other team can score more than 4 goals. 5 goals. They need to score more than 5 goals and win, but at least, Leverkusen won 4-0 and they couldn't beat Celtic because Celtic scored the 5 goals. So any team that wants to go second in the Champions League will need to score 5. They'll need to win 5-0 tonight. Can Arsenal do that? This is going to be an interesting game. I am going to sit and watch some of this whilst we're online, but then we will jump into the comment section and see how we're all going. And we've asked a question on the poll already. Let me just check this. It's too echoey. And I was going to need to get something up to stop the echo from that wall. And let's jump into the comment section and see who was first on. Stephen Johnson was first on. Tam Mack was in the house. Jim F was in the house. What a game last night. Mr. Quinn's in the house. Hail to Stephen. We are still second. Yes, we are still second in the Champions League as it stands. That could all change with the games that are kicking off. Games that are kicking off just now is obviously Atalanta versus Arsenal. Atletico Madrid. We're not getting feedback. Turn this down. Atletico Madrid versus Leipzig. RB Leipzig. So that's another interesting game that I should really be watching. I should watch the Athletic game actually. But we do play Atalanta quite soon, so I thought I'd watch that game tonight. And then there's the Monaco. There's so many games that you want to watch. Monaco Barcelona, that'd be a fantastic game. That's just kicked off. Brest versus Sturm Graz, that's just kicked off. Also the earlier games, Benfica won 2-1 and Leverkusen won 4-0 against Feyenoord. They beat Feyenoord who Celtic managed to beat towards the end of last season's Champions League. But the game I've decided to watch is the Arsenal game, only because it is in Italy and it is at the ground that Celtic fans will be going to in their numbers, in their good numbers. I just wanted to see what the stadium looks like. It looks like a decent little stadium. Anyway, Carly is in the house also. Kevin Brown's in the house. I think the atmosphere, our win against Barcelona will take anything and get beaten. A bit of beating it in Europe. You've got to remember the atmosphere didn't get good at the Barca game until we scored that goal. I think that when you look at the atmosphere for the full 90 minutes last night, I think that atmosphere beats the Barcelona game because it was only once we scored that second goal, and that was late into the second half, that the atmosphere really kicked off because we were under the cosh. You forget that Barcelona game. We were under the cosh in that Barcelona game for massive periods of the game, Kevin. But that should maybe your memory because all everyone can remember is the final result and the elation and the absolute everybody going off their head. The fact that we'd managed to beat Barcelona. Paul McCune's in the house. Hail Celtic women all around the world. Hazel says Celtic. Hail all. Chilpel says 1 game at a time. Falkirk is the next big one. It is that Desmond Donnelly says, evening bars and troops. Must say bravo to the One Celtic Fans View community who that were on Super Scoreboard, ripping the zombies apart. That's good to know that there's so many of you still giving it to the zombies. By the way, has anyone seen Chris Boyd? Has anyone seen Chris Boyd? Just asking for a friend. Not a friend that I know, but just asking if he's okay. Is Chris Boyd okay? Desmond Donnelly is saying hi to Stephen Johnson, and who else is in the house? Folk are just talking amongst themselves at the beginning. Stevie Boy's in the house. Carly, Kieran, Joseph Davidson. Sorry if I missed you out because there's just Tam Mack is in the house. Lorna Gallagher's in the house. Sean's in the house. Ewan Boy Martin's in the house, and JT Boy 67 also is Chilpill. I caved in and subscribed to TNT, 30 quid a month. I got fed up with the buffering and not being able to record the game. Not being able to record the game on the telly. And watch your back. If it's buffering, that's your internet speed. You need to get higher internet speed. I pay €40 a month for 1,000 megabits. We get 950 megabits our internet speed. It's unbelievable. Carly, rock and roll for Slavering. Chris Boyd exploded over the Clyde and floated away. He must have that. He will be rocking back and forward and just like in a gibbering wreck. Here come Arsenal with a corner. 4 minutes into the game. Arsenal with a corner against Atalanta, right in front of the Atalanta Ultras. Keeper makes a good save. A lot of them in and around the box. Atalanta only had the one person out. Arsenal were just pressing them again. Arsenal were pressing Atalanta again. They look a tight unit, a typical Italian team. Atalanta, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're playing at 5 at the back currently. Atalanta are currently playing with 5 at the back, even though they didn't set up like that. Typical Italians, they'll be hard to beat and they'll be quite defensive in their play. And it looks like that's it, but then they're spreading out now that they're getting a bit further forward. Anyway, I'm going to keep an eye on this game because it's obviously got a bit of interest to Celtic, because this is the stadium that our supporters will be in just a few weeks' time. And it is a tidy little stadium. That was a shite ball out by the keeper. Only a couple of minutes into the game, but I'm just trying to see the position, and they're definitely playing with 2 up front. That's something Celtic will need to watch out for, because Celtic do. Oh, Arsenal's coming in. Arsenal, shot. Oh, wide. Arsenal are ripping them apart though. Desmond Donnelly, we are the people we adore. Toilet piss. One of the best I've heard. I'm going to keep that one. The people we adore, toilet piss. Anyway, Jai Lynn, it was 251 for Celtic to win the Champions League on Sky Bet before it started. After the result, 100-1. And I bet you some madman would have put a bet on before the Champions League started. You're not going to win it, but you never know. You never know with this competition. I pay 40 notes a month for BT, and it's only the Celtic games I get. Buffering could be because of the trillions of Tims on the stream. No, it's not. It's not. The buffering comes down to your internet, mate. Because we don't get buffering at all. And we think about the app that we've got is the same app that there's about 3,500 folk in the group that I get this app from. Anyway, 40 minutes a month for BT. There we go. Tarmac. It's that one. The away section for Atlanta has 1,328 seats. Oof. 1,328 Celtic fans will be getting it 1-0 Leipzig. So Leipzig have scored. Let me just check that. So it is, Stephen, you're right. Leipzig are 1 up against Atletico Madrid. That'll just annoy them. That's in Madrid as well. Now, you remember Celtic went to Madrid, and that'll annoy the Madridians. That'll annoy them like hell. I would expect that scoreline to turn around quite quick. That's the first goal this evening of the games that have started. Atalanta, Arsenal are 0-0. Atletico Madrid versus Leipzig is 1-0 to Leipzig. 8 minutes goal for them. Monaco, Barcelona still 0-0. Brest, Sturm Graz is 0-0. Benfica won this evening, and Leverkusen won against Feyenoord, and that's why Celtic are still sitting in the position that we are in the league. So I asked the question, are you excited after the fantastic result for the rest of the Champions League game? It was a fantastic result last night. It was a fantastic result, but was it lucky? Was it a lucky night? 2% said it was a lucky night, 4% said no, and 94% are saying they're excited for the rest of the Champions League. Remember, it was the first time that team had played in the Champions League. They're on a good, fine form run in their home country. They are the champions of their home country. They did have to get... Atalanta Stadium is tiny. Chilpil, it reminds me of the Malmo Stadium when we played Malmo away in Sweden. It must be about 20. It must be about 15,000 or something. But it does. It's a typical nice little stadium like that. It does remember when we went to Sweden. No, I wasn't lucky. It was a zombie that said that. Yeah, Big Peter wants to go to the Celtic end. He does that. Did you see that video? How much is that video done actually? I haven't even looked at it since. Paul Baird says, I'll look forward to the Champions League. I always look forward to the Champions League. Atalanta are not the team they were last season for sure. Well, I tell you one thing, Arsenal seem to be ripping them apart, and I don't rate Arsenal that much. I think if Celtic were to come up against Arsenal, we'd rip them a new one. It's quite an open game. But the majority of the first 10 minutes of the game has kind of been played in midfield and towards the Atalanta half. They've reverted back to the back four. They've got two guys on the wings. You need to watch that with Celtic because they've got two guys hugging the touchline. Atalanta. Two guys on each side of the pitch completely hugging the touchline. Which is interesting. That could give Celtic a lot of space in the middle of the park. That can give Celtic a lot of space. And there's the same on the other side. Two guys hugging the touchline, both sides. Never seen that before. Considering it's not the full-backs that are touching, it's at the sidelines. It's midfield players. So will that give Celtic... This is an interesting one because people are saying that, that's a game that... Let's just see how this game pans out because the formation that they're playing, you can see a lot of space getting made for Celtic in the middle of that pitch. Especially with Callum McGregor and Arnie Engels. But then they do attack as a four. Atalanta got a chance, cross outside the box. Oh, guy was unlucky not to get it. Arsenal lets it run out for a throw in the Arsenal just after near the 18-yard box. Interesting. Atalanta get numbers back. Yeah, they do that. Buzzing for 3 points against Dortmund. Buzzing for. I think Dortmund might be the game that's a little bit too far, but I don't fear anyone. I don't think most of the English would beat Celtic. I'd say 2 or 3 at most set heads. You're right. I don't think Arsenal were a team that we should be scared of. Not a chance. I think that Brendan Rodgers would get the better of Arsenal quite easily. I mean, there's Arsenal. Fuck off. That was never a foul. Jesus, he's getting booked for it. Arsenal have got a free kick right on the edge of the box. Oh, no, it was a foul. Oh, come on. The Arsenal guy goes down really easy. He hardly touches him. Fucking Arsenal. I hate Arsenal. Red card for Barca. You're kidding on. See, I fucking knew I should have watched the Barcelona game. Barca and Monaco. Wow, Barcelona have got a red card. Player's been sent off for Barcelona. Who was it? Eric Garcia. Oof. That's a bad one. Garcia's been booked. He's been red carded. Wow. That's a bad one for Barcelona. The Garcia's been red carded. So Arsenal have got this free kick on the edge of the box. Atalanta, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the wall. A guy lying down on the floor behind the wall. It's going to be an interesting one. If good distance for him to get him into that top corner if the Arsenal player is capable. This wasn't meant to be a watch along, but I'm just interested in how this team reacts. What a save by the Atalanta keeper. You're way before me. Oh, it was a good save. But it should never have got past the wall. See, that's because the Arsenal had 3 people in the wall as well, and then they split. I mean, that's straight off the training pitch. That Celtic would hopefully never let them 3 players right in front of the keeper like that, and you would have somebody behind them just to mix it up a bit. Baz, hopefully that's the start of the Celtic Park becoming a fortress and feared place to come again, says Stewie. Yes. Let's talk about that. Let's forget about this game in a minute, because I'm going to end up watching this game and it's going to be a fucking watch along for the Atalanta game in the Champions League, which is not meant to be. It's going to say bye. I'm off to bed. Hopefully catch you tomorrow, says Lorna Gallagher, so that she feels better. You feeling a bit rough today, Lorna? See you tomorrow, Lorna. Well, I'll not see you tomorrow, but do you know what I mean? I'll see your comments on the YouTube tomorrow. Definitely, I think that Celtic Park could be on the verge of becoming a fortress again. I think that the crowd last night was definitely one of the best crowds that you've heard from a television perspective for a long, long time. Look back to the Champions League last season. Look back to the last season in the Champions League, and even I said, and there was people coming on the channel after the games last season saying, look, the atmosphere wasn't great. There was periods of, you could hear the old paper rustling in the Celtic end, and other parts of the ground. Last night, I don't think that happened very much. I think it happened for about 5 minutes at the beginning of the game, and then that was it. It was just complete mayhem from the fans, and that's what you need. The fans can help this team more than what you think. The way that the fans were last night was amazing. You've seen it on the television at the beginning of the game, and you've seen one of the players turn around to another player and going, "Fucking can't he hear a thing?" He couldn't hear them shouting. They couldn't hear themselves talk to each other. And then he went like that, keep the head. And it's just, you need to get Celtic Park back like that. That can help us on in this competition. And it helps. Let's face fact. It does. Here comes Atalanta. That's a waste of a ball, I can tell you that now. Heads it way over. It was a crap ball in anyway. When you look at the way that Brendan Rodgers has the team playing, viral infection, Baz, not hangover, cheers, hope you're feeling better tomorrow, Lorna, that's not too good. 2 penalties, Arnie is hit into the right corner, mix it up, can't have keepers guessing the right way. I think if Arnie hits it with pace into the corner, it doesn't matter if he goes the same way all the time. I think he will mix it up, he'll know to mix it up himself, but I think he hits it with such pace that you're not going to save them. It's not as if he's trying to side foot it into the back of the net. Watched the game in Croatia. Heard the crowd from here, says Estepona. Boy, Green Brigade were brilliant last night. Yes, they were. That is 1-0 to Monaco. 1-0 to Monaco. Monaco are 1-0 up after the Barcelona player getting sent off. And yes, it was the one and off. Eric Garcia's a big loss to them. Big loss. It's going to be interesting. The thing is Barcelona aren't the team that they used to be, because they are having to spend a lot more money on younger players rather than go out and spend in the way that they used to spend, but they're spending fantastic amount of money on youth players as they try to build their new stadium. They might be skint, but they're building a 105,000 seater stadium is Barcelona, and they're hoping that that's going to be ready for the beginning of next season. Yep, Monaco up 1-0. Yeah, we've seen that. Monaco's up 1-0. As it still stands, Celtic, this is a live feed on the screen that you're getting, this one here. So this will give you the live update of if someone scores 5 goals tonight, if someone wins 5-0 tonight, and they will push Celtic out of second position. And as it stands, Celtic are still second in the Champions League with quite a lot of games now being played. And we are still second in the league, which is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Right. Let's talk a bit more about Casper Schmeichel. Casper Schmeichel made his Champions League debut for Celtic last night, along with Trusty, who made his Champions League debut for Celtic, along with the one and only Arne Engels, who made his Champions League debut for Celtic. But the Big Dane's been there and done it before. The Big Dane's played 106 games for his country. He's a goalkeeper that comes with a fantastic amount of experience at international level and top level football. And when you think that Sinisalo is sitting on the bench just waiting to take it over for him, he's got no better mentor than the one and only Casper Schmeichel. Casper Schmeichel yesterday says he was loving the atmosphere. He said he was loving the atmosphere from the stands that was being generated from the crowd. He was reveling in it. He can only describe it as an aggressive and hostile atmosphere. The expectations of the fans who were demanding the win against the Slovakian champions. Celtic were 3-0 up and cruising when Bratislava obviously popped up with the 60th minute goal after the one and only... we're not going to go on about Taylor. Once Greg Taylor mishit the ball, he swiped after it and it went to one of their players, and then it was a goal. But 10 seconds later, the Big Dane and his dad, you like the video about his dad talking about his son, big Peter Schmeichel. Peter Schmeichel looks old, he looks younger than his son just now. Life's treating him really well, isn't it? But he wasn't fuming when the Slovakians scored the goal, losing his clean sheet on his Champions League debut. He says the sort of mentality that Celtic have, the sort of mentality that Brendan Rodgers has instilled into the team, the sort of mentality that this group of players has is, do you know what, you've scored the goal, we're going to go and score a few more. And that's exactly what Celtic did last night. Big Adam Ida also made his debut for Celtic in the Champions League, because you've got to remember that Adam Ida didn't play for Celtic in the Champions League last season because we were out of the Champions League by December. This year we will not, so it's fantastic that Big Adam got off his scoring duck. Now, here's a thought. Big Adam Ida versus Kyogo in the Champions League. How many goals did it take for Kyogo to score in the Champions League versus Adam Ida scoring on his debut in the Champions League and at Celtic Park? A lot of people have been saying, were Celtic done in? Were they turned over by the amount of money that we had to pay for Adam Ida? I think that when you look at it, he's scored a goal for us in the Champions League already. He's been worth every money. I'm not going to bemoan how much we paid for him. It is what it is. He's a Celtic player. He hasn't got off to the greatest of starts. He's not started the game really from the beginning. Right, no, he started one, didn't he? He started one game since he came in from the beginning, which isn't ideal. But I think that Adam Ida is going to be a fantastic player for us. And I think in the Champions League, against some of these teams with the taller players, the big defenders, I think Adam Ida will come on more at the 60-minute mark. Arsenal player goes down far too easy just in front of the box there. I'll tell you one thing, this Italian team are Arsenal are defending again. They're not that great, are they? I mean, everybody's talking about them winning the Europa last season. And I'll tell you one thing, they're not. They're not going to do what Porto did in 2003, 2004, is win the Europa and then go on to win the Champions League. There's no way that this Atalanta team look that good to me. that was a soft one. I can understand why the player's raging, because the Arsenal player goes down really easy on the side of the box. Forrest was brilliant since Rodgers came back. Yep, Forrest. Everyone said that Forrest was done. I think that Forrest will get a little bit long. I think that Forrest should just tell the Scotland manager that he's done, because he's not getting picked. I think that he should just come out and concentrate on Scotland. I can't stand Arteta either, but I hope this game ends in a draw. Because if it ends in a draw, it means when Celtic go there, because Arsenal aren't that good. Arsenal aren't that good at all. Desmond says, Big Adam will come good. You can tell he will that. I think Casper will extend his contract. He's already got a year's extension on his contract after this summer. He's got the option of the second year. Do you think that it will change and stay for a third year? Would that be... You've got to think about Sinisalo, right? You've got to think about why Casper was brought in to train this young keeper. This young keeper was a first choice keeper. He knows that Casper was brought in for a year to give him that bit of training, to get him ready to perform at the highest level. I think it would be doing Sinisalo an injustice if we were to keep him as a reserve keeper. Forrest should tell Clark where to go. Yeah, I think so also. I think you should tell him where to go. And Baz, a wee shout out from my mate Stevie Cullen, who will be led to rest tomorrow. Suddenly passed away during the 3-0 humping of the Mankey mob. Rest in peace, Stevie boy. Gary, my thoughts are with you, and that's devastating. My thoughts are with his family and all his mates. It's never easy when somebody... It's the second time I've heard about somebody passing away quite quick today. Loan the keeper out, says Liam Mills. Don't loan him out, because he was brought in to be... He was the next Celtic keeper. He knows why. He knows that Casper Schmeichel was brought in to bring him on as a keeper. He was a fantastic keeper when we got him. Just because he's young, you don't go and loan him out. Trust the process. That's what I'm saying. When you listen to the interview with our previous keeper talking about Brendan Rodgers when he came into the team and he didn't make too many changes and he kept us playing Ange ball, and Joe Hart was halfway through the season and he's like, when is Brendan going to change it? When is he going to start putting his own stamp on the feet, on the team? And then when there's about 3 months to go of the season, when it gets to Christmas, and this is when Brendan Rodgers always clicks. When it gets to, it used to be always when we went away for the winter break. When we came back for the winter break, we clicked. It's that time of year that Brendan knows that Celtic click into place, and he spoke about it last season. But hearing Joe Hart talk about it, saying that, you know, the players were just getting along with it, and it was still pretty much Ange ball that we're playing. But then once Brendan clicked, with 3 months to go, towards the end of the league, it was getting to the money making time, and he started to introduce his style of play, and we noticed that towards the end of last season. I mean, Celtic were fantastic in the running, absolutely fantastic in the running, and it's when Brendan started pushing his own tactics, his own style of play on the team. We're no longer talking about Brendan Rodgers' team as a side-to-side passing, boring type of football. Brendan Rodgers said that himself during the... So I was just watching, I thought... he spoke about it during about pre-season. You know, he doesn't want to play side-to-side sort of safe football. He wants to play fast attacking pace football, and that's what we've got at Celtic just now. And it's a completely different style from Ange Postecoglou and Ange ball. I think we're playing a better style of football than what Ange ball was. Ange ball, they didn't defend from the front at all. The way that it was more hit on the break and hit with pace and try and score goals. This is doubling up on players in your own half. I mean, I've seen one of the things with Joe Hart, and he was talking about 4 players swarming round on the outside of the box, changing positions, interacting play. That all comes for the training pitch. Brendan Rodgers has done absolutely fantastic with the team since he has come back. And we know there was a lot of fans that didn't want Brendan to come back, but he's here. And I think, personally, that we're playing a better brand of football. And I think he's still to get a lot more out of Kyogo. I think he can still get a little bit more out of Rio Hatate. But ultimately, I think that we're playing better and faster and a more attractive way of football than we were under Ange Postecoglou. Barcelona have scored, and it is 1-1. That's just rattled the cages. Atletico Madrid have scored also. The Spaniards are coming back, as I expected. Spanish teams are coming back. I said it would rattle the cage. Leipzig, all they did when they scored early in Atletico's ground, all you're doing is rattling the cage. And we've seen what happened when Celtic were there last season. We've seen what happened there last season when Celtic played them. They just turned on the style, ultimately. Now, what we do not want to happen tonight, we do not want a team to win by a clear 5-goal margin, because if a team wins by a 5-goal margin, as you can see, that would then put Celtic out of second position. We want to stay in that second position, and I know it's just game day one, and I know we've got a cracking team up next, but I want Celtic, come the end of match day one, to still be in that second position in the Champions League. Bayer Leverkusen are in there just now because they won 4-0. They need to score 5. You need to win by a clear 5 goals to get above Celtic in the Champions League. I'm not going to get sick showing that. We are on 18,941 subscribers, and we're trying to get to ultimately 19,000 in the next couple of days, and then onwards to the big 20,000. That was it. Anyway, that is the scores as it happens. Atalanta, Arsenal is still 0-0, half an hour into the game. There's not even been one. The keeper's been. Atalanta keeper made a save for the free kick, but that's been about it. There's not been much goal line activity. That was a way past the shot for Atalanta there. Atalanta, sorry. I didn't rate Arsenal. I might turn it over. What game is what will I turn it over to Leipzig? Because we play Leipzig. Barca 1-1. Barca 1-1 is all the comments coming up. Celtic, all Celtic merchandise on fire. Yep. How many signings do you expect in the winter window? Not many. Another striker. Possibly another striker. And maybe one other midfield player if we sell Rio Hatate. I think he'll be the next player to be sold at Celtic, will be Rio Hatate. But we'll wait and see, because Celtic do not need to sell anyone. And why don't you want to sell anyone? Because we're still in the Champions League. We will still be in the Champions League in January. So you don't really want to be selling any players while you're still in the Champions League. The format of the Champions League is better. It means that the games matter. It's more exciting, I think, Baz says Jai Lin. Yes, I think so also. I think it's way better. When you see the league, I mean, if you look down at the bottom of the table, this is the bottom of the table. This is crazy. You've got J&K Dynamo, who are rock bottom on -7 goal difference. You've got then Feyenoord on -4. Bratislava, yes, the team that Celtic played, are sitting on -4, 5 against. You've then got Young Boys, who Celtic played. You've got then Salzburg. You've then got Club Brugge. You've then got Lille. You've then got Milan. You've then got Stuttgart. You've got PSV. Sturm Graz are currently down in 25th. Girona are down in 25th, also joint 25th. 24 is Zagreb. You've then got Shakhtar Donetsk. Man City are 18th as it stands. You've then got Inter, you've got Bologna, Atalanta are 18th as it stands, as Arsenal are 18th also. Monaco are 16th. Atletico Madrid are 16th. Leipzig are 14th. Joint 14th. But why have they got joint 14ths? Why not just do it in normal, like numeric? Fucking weird, the Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain, they are on 12th. Brest are 12th. See, it's confusing. You've then got Benfica 11th. You've got Sporting on 10th, and then you've got Real Madrid are 8th, Juventus are 8th, Liverpool are 7th, Sparta are 6th, Borussia Dortmund, and then Aston Villa, and then Leverkusen, and then second pot is Celtic. Second position in the league is still Celtic. So that's why I'm not wanting any big score lines tonight. I don't want any big score lines. It was interesting that Callum McGregor said that they spoke about this before the competition started, because it could be the case that goals will matter in this Champions League. This league format, it's going to be the goals for and goals against will matter, and that will determine either how far down you are in the league or how far you are up in the league. Now, the fact that Celtic have got some cracking games in the Champions League, what's UEFA on it? Celtic games. When you look at the games that we do have coming up, especially the home one, right? Leipzig, Club Brugge, they're way down the bottom of the table as it is just now. They've been absolutely hammered. I mean, Leipzig are, where's Leipzig about in the league? They're 14th in the league, and they're actually currently playing Atletico Madrid. But that's probably not the best one. And then we play Club Brugge at Celtic Park also. Now, Club Brugge, they're further down, aren't they? They're 31st. Now, Club Brugge, they got beat 3-0. They got 3 goals in against them in the first game. So you're expecting Celtic to win against Club Brugge. Right? There's your 6 points straight away. Young boys, they're away down the bottom of the table also. I think the big game, and I've said it before, I think the all-important game, as far as we've got 3 games. In fact, the running that we've got is actually decent, because if we beat Leipzig at home in November, we're odds on to then go to near enough qualify. We'll beat Club Brugge at Celtic Park. We've got 2 games in November. If we win those 2 games at home, we're strolling through to the next round. We are definitely going through to the next round. And then you play away in December, and then it gets to January, the end of January, 22nd of January, we have young boys back at Celtic Park. And then the penultimate game, the game of this first phase of the new Champions League, Wednesday the 29th of January against Aston Villa. I think that's the game that will determine exactly how high up the league that we finish. That'll be the one that really matters. We'll know that we'll have qualified by then. I think Celtic will know that they'll at least have qualified for the next stage of the Champions League. But I think the Aston Villa game will be the one that if we get any kind of points out that, I want to win down in England. I want to beat Aston Villa. It is as simple as that. I want to beat Villa. And it's always good when you beat that mob down there. Any kind of. Shanklin's finished. He's right for that manky mob. Says Stu. Paul Baird says goals always matter, Baz. Yes, they do. They always matter. And I think that Celtic need to score as many as we can in this Champions League, just to prove a point that we're not a bad team. Because I think that we're a bit unjust last season. It's quite a small corner that the away fans are in. I've just seen the away fans there. Or Arsenal. Still 0-0. Anyway, Callum McGregor. And the poll. Yes, we have done a poll. We've not even looked at that for a while. Are you excited after the fantastic result for the rest of the Champions League games? We've had 242 votes. We've had 908 people on, which isn't fantastic. It's a bit quiet, but there is football on the television, and that's you're going to start getting the nighttime lives will be a bit quieter due to the fact that these are on. The only way to overcome that would be to have a live at around about 5:30 at night before you all go on to Super Scoreboard to try and get as many Celtic fans on. So I don't know, we maybe have to try and change the time, especially since there's Champions League games on, because you want to try and get as many people on as we can. It's either that or there's not going to be many people on after the Champions League games if Celtic aren't playing. But I did ask that question, and 94% are saying yes, 4% are saying no, and 2% are saying it was a lucky night. It was a lucky night in Europe. Let me just jump to the... We will play to win them all. I think we will play to win them all. Be great to scalp Villa. I think so too. Plunge McNugget says, guys, going to not tell me the Champions League. I want to watch the highlights later. Cowden Beath was rocking last night, Baz. I have a feeling that we're going to surprise a few Celtic in big games. I think Scotty Boy, I think that Celtic are going to... This will be the season that Celtic will let themselves known as not just a team that are, we're back. That's what I'm going to say, is we're back. We're back to having a team that can perform at this level. Now, it then comes down to the end of the season. What I don't want to happen is us to revert backwards. There's been far too many times over the last 24 years. That Celtic have went out, spent good money, but then with the money that we get from this Champions League, the new format, the way that merchandise is, there's no reason for Celtic to revert back. We're sitting with well over 80, 90 million pounds in the bank right now. I mean, the accounts came out and it was showing at 77 million in the bank in June, come the 30th of June. We've had season ticket money in for them. We've had the first payment of the Champions League money. We've had money in from transfers. And we've had the money in for the Champions League tickets also. So Celtic could really be sitting with over 100 million in the bank right now. There's no need for us to go back to the bad old days of bringing in project players. I think if this is the level of project players we're now bringing in, is Arne Engels and like, happy days. I think Celtic could Brendan Rodgers. And the biggest question is we're into the second year of Brendan Rodgers' 3-year contract at Celtic, and we all know that Brendan Rodgers didn't stay the full year of his last term at Celtic. He will not leave early. I'm not suggesting he'll leave early, but I think we might have a fight on our hands to keep the manager. And would you want to keep Brendan Rodgers after next season? That's the big question. I don't know. I mean, last night was a fantastic result. But when it comes to European football and progression, I mean, will he stay longer? Will he have the appetite to stay longer than the 3 seasons that he's contracted for? That's the big question. He's not going to leave before, so let's just put that out there. I am not saying that Brendan Rodgers will leave before. I don't think that even if a team was to come in for him, he would knock it back. Brendan Rodgers will stay the full 3 years of his contract, but the team that he's building is going to be here longer than those next season. You never know. Brendan says he likes it here. Why leave? This is very true, and he is at home, and I think he is repaying and he has said it. I mean, when he first came in, we all know what he said that first day on the steps of Celtic Park. To those who do not believe that I should be back here, come back here and talk to me at the end of May. And everyone did. And it was fantastic. And he's making us even better. So yes, anyway, do a poll, Baz. Do a poll, says Stephen Johnson. He's obviously got someone with him tonight. We'll close that one down. Right, do a poll. There's still 187 people on. Start a poll. Right, would you want Brendan Rodgers to stay longer than next season? There we go. There's a poll for this evening. The next one. Would you want Brendan Rodgers to stay longer than next season? Let's see what the votes this does. Let me see what Paul Baird votes for this one after last night's game. And there's been no votes so far for no. It's all emphatic. Straight away, no brainer. Paul says, I wonder what Brendan haters are saying now. Yes, exactly. Baz, you said you were going to do an Ange Ball versus Brendan Ball. So I did, Jamesy boy. I will do that in a moment. Baz is having a beer, loving Brendan Rodgers, loving. 2 people, 2% have voted no. That's it. Paul Baird's got 2 computers on the go and he's going, fuck off, you can't. It's a stick on. Scotty Boy says we need to invest to make sure we are even better after a great season. This campaign, hopefully Brendan takes a 5-year contract and takes us to 10 in a row and one away trophy. I think ultimately that's where Brendan will. Is there any point in this Champions League that you drop down into the Europa, or is it once you're out the Champions League, you're out the Champions League? Is the safety net of dropping down to the Europa gone forever now? I'm not quite sure about that, because I think ultimately, if it's not, we're not going to win the Champions League. Let's face it. I mean, it would if we could get to the last 16 of the Champions League. Do a poll. Do you want Fester to stay at Sevco next year? I think we all know which way that will go. 78. Let's get to 100 votes first of all. There's 271. Let's get to 100 votes and then we'll do another poll. Wonder where the bag of cans is. Where the bag of cans guy is. Hope he's here to stay. American Jock, out is out. Out is out. So then you're out. Out is out. Gifted a new membership. Nicola is a new member. Welcome to the membership, Nicola. From clips I've seen, and his style, his motivation in the dressing room is inspiring. Once you're out the Champions League. So once you're out the Champions League. There's no drop into the Europa. Now the reason I was asking that is Celtic, we've always said previously that we think that maybe the Europa is our level, but with this new format in the Champions League, can we dare to believe? What if the unthinkable was to happen? And the Brendan Rodgers stays here for another couple of seasons, and each year we get slightly better. Each year we buy another 10, 11 million pound player or two, and they keep the majority of this squad together. Yes, there's players that come in and move on, but we have the next player lined up, and we manage to keep the nucleus of this team together. Could Celtic, at any point, if that was to happen, now I know it's a scenario that is way out with realms of reality over the last few many years, but do you think that there is a slight possibility, the off chance, that Celtic could maybe even get to the last 8 of the Champions League in this new format? Tell me in the comments. Do you think the thing is you shouldn't think the unthinkable? Yes, that's very true. Oh, pardon me. Half time and it's 0-0 with Arsenal. Let's get the other scores on the doors. As it stands just now, Celtic are still second in the Champions League. Half-time results are in. Sturm Graz have just scored. I think it was Sturm Graz. Atalanta, Arsenal, 0-0. Leipzig versus Atletico Madrid is 1-1. They're currently in extra time. Monaco, Barcelona is 1-1. Sturm Graz versus Brest is 1-1 also. So as it stands, there's none of these teams are going to have high scoring games. I don't think that you're going to get a 5-0 win tonight anyway. You're definitely not going to get any team that is going to overtake Celtic by the looks of it in the Champions League tonight. So at the end of tonight, Celtic will still be in second position. I think when we wake up tomorrow and we see that, it'll be absolutely fantastic. So Paul Baird, there's 101 votes in him. Paul Baird is the only person that voted that he does not want Brendan Rodgers here. Jesus, I think Leipzig and Atalanta draws would be good for us. I think it would be fantastic draws for us, Chilpil, because it puts a bit of pressure on them. Right, there's not as many people on to do this vote. Oops, nearly the spelling mistake. There we go. This was the poll that I was meant to do. What is better, Ange Ball versus Brendan Ball this season? There's one for yous. I've done it again. End poll. Wait a minute. Fuck's sake. Right. Right, there we go. There you go, that's better. And post the fucking poll then. I don't want to add an option. Just do that. Start poll. There's the poll. What is better, Ange Ball or Brendan Ball this season? There you go. Ange Ball versus Brendan Ball this season. No, not the Brendan Ball from last season. Brendan's football this season. Compared, now remember, at this point, both managers are 2 seasons in. Right? So Ange had 2 seasons at Celtic. Brendan Rodgers is into his 2nd season at Celtic. What style of football do you prefer right now? Is it the Ange Ball, the all-attacking Ange Ball that didn't really defend from the front, that was okay in the Champions League but not very defensively good and then versus what we saw last night, the fast-paced attacking football that closes teams down in their own half, players double up on players? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Also, Ange is getting sacked soon, says who really cares. Brendan Ball is more organised than Ange Ball, not so kamikaze, says Jamesy Boy. That's actually quite good. I hit Ange Ball by mistake. Oh, Jesus. The Belgian Beal's better. Paradise Found, that's a pile of nonsense. To trick them into thinking they're coming. Brendan Rodgers has adapted to the boys' game from Ange. Well, Jamaican Jock, he hasn't just adapted, he's changed. He's changed what Ange did. If you listen to, there was an interview with Joe Hart after the game last night, and Joe Hart said, this is the exact words that Joe Hart said, he said when Brendan came in, he didn't make too many changes. He just kept us playing the same formation. He kept us playing the same way that the players were comfortable with. It wasn't until 3 months to go to the end of the season, until the January, that Brendan started making adjustments to the team. When it got to Christmas, Joe Hart was sitting thinking, when is he going to instill his own style of play? And he started doing it gradually, bit by bit, towards the end of the season. And it was in January that he turned around and he really started telling the Celtic team what it meant to play for Celtic. And he started instilling his own style of play. And that's what changed. He's then changed it completely this summer, playing a different style of football altogether, and it is complete Brendan Ball. I don't like using that word because it was the Ange Ball. We never called it Brendan Ball when he was here the first time round. But anyway, 8 to 9% says Brendan Ball this season, and Ange Ball was better. There's still a lot of Ange lovers out there. If you want to see a funny meltdown by Ange Postecoglou, I posted one on the Meltdown channel. Where is it? I'll just get this, because it's had 1,000 views. That's done not too bad. Yeah, it's done 1,000 views. It's not bad for a wee second channel. We'll get that going further forward. Anyway, where are we? We're 54 minutes into the night. Scotty boy, you get 0 money, 0 goals. No, you do. You get money for the goals. Is it 1.8 million a win? Oh, there you go. Right, the bitter irony of Engel's steadfast mindset. It wasn't the master of defensive and counter-attacking for 4-3-3 formations before coming to Celtic. Ange, Jota, Abada all regret leaving. Yes, they do. Brendan always said that he liked to play football and liked the late, great Tommy Burns. And that was a man who knew how to play the Celtic way. That was a man who knew how to play fast attacking football and pretty much defend from the front. I've got to say, I've not been overly enamoured by this Arsenal. I mean, they're defending well, but Atalanta aren't the way that Atalanta. I mean, the guys on the telly are saying that Arsenal's doing great. They're thingy in the midfield. But Atalanta have got 2 players on the wings, and it's not a wing back. They've got 2 midfield players stuck to the edge of the wing. So obviously that's to try and keep Arsenal in the middle of the pitch. But can Celtic get inside our heels? It's only game 1, says Nicola. We've got to get ahead of ourselves. Munich must be just happy scoring 9. Yeah, they must be. When you look at it, just the 9 goals. But the most important thing is, as it stands, is Bayern München are sitting in first position. Celtic are still sitting in second position in the Champions League. Leverkusen are sitting in third, and Aston Villa are sitting in fourth. Now that is a live one. If anything changes, I don't think it's going to. I can't see many teams scoring 4 goals the second half with the way that the games have been going. Arsenal play quite compact, don't they? I think I'd love to get Arsenal in the later stages of the Champions League, because I think we could do them. I think the width of Celtic would outdo Arsenal, and hopefully that happens when we play the team down south in the name of Aston Villa. Anyway, no one likes a bubble buster. Scales is our £31 million player now. It says something today. He's off his nut. It's something today. Right, I'm going to finish up this poll. It's had 106 votes. We can all see that the majority of fans, the small number of fans that are still on the channel tonight, it's 210. It's just dropped. Cheers, thanks. 210 are currently on. There's only been 1,200 views. These are going to get harder to do at this time of night due to the fact that there is games on all the time. So we'll just need to make it up at the weekend somehow. Make the numbers up at the weekend. Because it is a numbers game. That's it. That's what this entertainment platform is. They're only top 4 because apparently they got 4 penalties, says Paul. I fancy most English teams, says Jamie Brown. Nicola, they can afford to spend to buy ammo. They still owe the face painter 40 quid. I'll keep the volume down while Carrick and Richards are spouting garbage. Yeah, I've got the volume right down so I don't hear them either. Hand of the frog exercise, Baz. What? Hand of frog exercised, Baz. Hand of frog? What? What's the hand of frog? Will we beat Club Brugge and Young Boys in Zagreb and get a draw with a Red Bull? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, that's us at the hour mark for this evening. I'm going to go and spend some quality time with the missus. She's watching telly. No idea what she's watching a Game of Thrones thing. Anyway, we are still sitting. Just leave that there for just a second, just because it's a healthy reminder. I will keep that on this screen when we're doing lives, because it will not change. And I'm not really sure, we can hide it like that. And then we can bring it back. It's amazing what technology's done. We are sitting on 18,944 subscribers. Make sure that you subscribe. It is absolutely free. Big shout to and it's not showing me who the member is. There was a new member and I can't see who it is now. Cheers, Baz, says Jamesy Boy. Tamak says hail, hail. Moral victory is not a moral victory, it says Falcon Hoof. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening to all the Celtic fans all around the world. I'm still buzzing for